Hello and welcome back to the podcast, We Are Selling. My name's Lee Woodward, the author of the Complete Salesperson course. Today's podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, Nexar. Nexar is a dedicated real estate platform specialising in lead generation and database management of the entire real estate company for BDMs and agents working as one platform to generate opportunity. Nexar seamlessly integrates into your business systems, allowing you to have an extended solution. Let's get started with this week's episode. Joining us today is Cameron Cullum of Image Property in Brisbane. He joins us now. Cameron, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. And most of the people in the group know you well. We've got some future agents joining us that may not know you. Take us through your background, because you were an NRL star. Take us into that first.
Yeah, that's my background, mate. Sports, rugby league. I played in the NRL. I managed to get 10 games overall, but it was probably a 7 or 8 year period of my life. It spanned from when I left school to when I left the game that I was just doing NRL pre-seasons and trying to crack it. And very grateful that I did get the opportunity to do that, mate. And, sort of took me around the country playing footy, and then ended up coming back to the peninsula to play for Redcliffe, and that's when I sort of jumped into real estate.
Take us into that time when you were trying to crack it, because, you left school, everything was football, this is your career, this is what you're going to do, and you got so close with some of those teams but didn't make it. How did you feel at that time?
Yeah, mate, it was it's a tough one, hey. It's why, I obviously watch rugby league and see a lot of young players in the same sort of position, and for me, it becomes yourself. Like, my identity was rugby league, and all I wanted to do was crack it. So, like, going to the Broncos and spent 3 years there and wasn't able to crack it. Went to the Cowboys, which was a great experience, but again, wasn't able to crack it. It really is hard, and there's a lot of talk about, I think that's where you lose a lot of kids to the game, because it can be so disheartening wanting to achieve a dream like that for so long, but just missing out. So it was hard, mate. I think it taught me some really good life lessons around resilience and that type of thing, where although I didn't get to, achieve it at some periods, I felt like it sort of, I was always kept the hunger to make it happen. And eventually I got the opportunity, mate, and I took it with both hands.
And that opportunity was at the Titans before going to Manly?
Yeah, correct. Yep, at the Titans. So I was able to play 5 games for Titans, and then I went down to Manly and played 5 games down there following year.
And it's amazing how environment is so different. The Sydney world to the Queensland world, it is a different space, a different place. I would imagine you love the club, but how did you find the Sydney world?
Yeah, mate, very different, very different. Like, I grew up at Cabarita Beach, a small little town down in northern New South Wales, and I mean, even the peninsula, it's such a cruisy lifestyle. So to be thrown into the rat race lifestyle of Sydney, and I was living on the northern beaches in DY, like, it's a beautiful place. The club was awesome. A lot of the people I met at that club, I'm still good friends with now. But yeah, the lifestyle was hard, mate. My partner had to work full time. We had to have our 1-year-old in daycare full time, and it was a hard lifestyle for sure. But again, they're the sort of sacrifices you make to try and achieve a dream like that and play at the top level. And we did that, mate. And then, we wanted to come home. We wanted to be around family. And that's ultimately what we did when we moved back to Redcliffe.
An amazing story so far. And what a small world. I spent my entire real estate career in DY. So,
yeah, true.
Yeah, I was living at Coleroy and going to the Manly games. So that whole world I know so well. And then suddenly you end up in a different space. Take us into the start in real estate, because you were with Andrew Reibelt and you had a defining moment of your career when you met Joel Davis. What happened there? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I guess firstly, Andrew Reibelt giving me the opportunity to jump into real estate was probably pretty defining, because I remember I did my ACL. So I was full time with Redcliffe Dolphins and had sort of no plans of working, to be honest. So just the sliding doors moments are pretty interesting. But I did my ACL 1 week before the season started in 2019. So it forced me to have a full year off footy and forced me to think, what am I going to do? And so 2019 season, the season launch a couple of days after I did it, I sat next to Andrew Reibelt and I said, mate, I'd already had my own property investment company and I was working with athletes in that space to try and help them sort of set themselves up. So I was always interested in it, but I just asked Ribby, I just said, mate, would you be open to giving me a couple of days a week? And he said, I'll have to see, mate. I don't really have a spot. And he sort of made a spot for me to do a couple of days a week. And then all of a sudden, I was his associate and I was full time with him. And then, I think it was about a year later, Joel purchased his rent roll and we sort of made the move over to Image Property, myself and Andrew. And not long after that, they brought out the Supported by Image model and I went out on my own. So it all happened pretty quickly, mate. But I'm certainly grateful for Andrew to give me the opportunity, and Image Property as a whole. Like meeting Joel Davis, meeting Corinne, like they're such an awesome family. And I was at a real crossroads in terms of my own life and what my identity. And I'd just been a footballer all my life, and that had finished. And for me to jump into another industry, meet people like that, and be able to achieve goals in that industry. Very grateful I got that opportunity when I did.
And how interesting, like Andrew Reibelt, he is first grade of real estate. So you did crack first grade playing alongside some of the best players, and Joel and the other, Adam and the whole team now have become one of the best teams in the country. And again, I do these podcasts because sometimes you guys can't read the label from inside the jar. You're actually in there, but what's going on in that company is absolutely amazing. So take me into the first year out by yourself. What was that like, and what sort of numbers were you doing?
Mate, it was very, very challenging. I remember meeting with Andrew to let him know, mate, I think I was the second person that joined the Supported by Image model. I'd been with Andrew for a year, and I sort of remember like having a meeting with him, which for me was hard in itself because I'm a very loyal person. Like I find it hard to make change, especially when I was like happy, but I always had this, I guess, drive in me that I wanted to be, have my own business and wanted to go further than where I was. So it was probably inevitable that it was going to happen. But mate, the week that I left, the salary and bonuses and everything that sort of made me happy, I turned on the TV and heard this rumor about this flu and, this COVID thing, and the phones stopped ringing, and I was thinking to myself, this is me, this is my luck. I've literally, this is going to shut down the whole industry, and I've just left a secure wage and bonuses and all of the things that would make someone pretty secure to go out on my own. And phone stopped ringing for a couple of weeks, mate. So it was a bit scary, but I mean, as you know, the property market boomed as of that sort of period of time, and I was in the right place, right time, and I think taking the leap when I did, it forced me to sort of sink or swim, which was good.
And what were some of the numbers in that first year for you?
Numbers in terms of comms, I think I did 330 in year one. Not sure how many sales I got, mate. I can't remember now, but I do remember 330 was the income.
That's a very good number. And then from there, where did you progress to after that, and what changed in you?
From there it was probably a really sort of big learning curve for me year one on my own, because again, you go from, especially with someone like Andrew, like he was very much the person that would go out and get the listings, and he's very well known on the peninsula. So to be his associate, I really never had to find business. I definitely did a lot of buyer work and learn a lot of things, but finding business probably wasn't a role that I needed to have, because Andrew would do that for us. So going out on my own, I immediately realised that if I don't find business, I'm not going to get paid, and that was probably the biggest thing that I had to learn is prospecting and accountability and all of the things that allow you to get some opportunities. And I guess that was probably my biggest learning of year one. And then I guess progressing from there, mate. And again, the whole thing of I've always been someone that's really not happy, like to just be content. Like 330, as you say, would probably be a pretty solid, first year for someone out on their own. But for me, I didn't feel comfortable. Like I always wanted to be, and it's not for the accolades. I don't think, like, it's not so that I can call myself the best agent on the peninsula. I've never been driven by that type of ego thing. It's just a challenge for me to be able to set myself a goal and try and achieve it. And I remember my first ever Image Christmas party or something like that. I was speaking to an agent, and he said that he he said that he earned $500,000, and I was like, what? Like, are you kidding? Is that the type of money that we can earn? I didn't believe him, I didn't believe him at the time, because I'm like, that is ridiculous money. I'd been minimum wage, 80 grand, 100 grand for rugby league. And to me, to be sort of talking that type of money was crazy. But yeah, mate, it was a very big learning curve for me going out on my own, and I'm glad I did it. 100% glad I did it, but it was very scary at the time, that's for sure.
Let's unpack some of that. Andrew in lead generation, one thing about the greats like that, they make it look easy, as if this just pops in all the time, and then suddenly the greats are so good because they do make it look easy, but when you're learning it yourself from scratch, it's like, where are they all? Don't they just turn up and you get phone calls and you bounce to the next one? A really good example there of going out to claim your own doors is very different. What worked for you in claiming doors?
Well, mate, I think it was just output. It was just volume. I'd established a good, I guess, profile on the peninsula. I think being a Dolphins football player and being the captain of the Dolphins for a long period of time, like that certainly helped me in terms of a lot of the relationships that I had, the people that I knew, and that type of thing. And the rest, mate, was just reps for me. Is the biggest thing I found. Is like, I remember talking to a few people and listening to a few things, and probably one of the biggest things I did, massive thanks to Justin Nickerson for this. I'm always the type of person that wants to, success leaves clues. I've always been big on that. And whether it was rugby league and I was following someone and trying to mimic them and follow their game, in real estate, one guy that I really loved was Tony O'Doherty. And so I got Justin to hook up a meeting with me and Tony, and I went to his office, and good on him. He took the meeting, and I know he's a very busy man, but he pulled out my phone but he went to the battery section of it where you can check where you spend all your time.
Yeah.
And it said like Facebook, Instagram, like, all the normal things, where his message was, and I'll try with an Irish accent, "You're not even at the fucking races, man." Pretty much, mate, after that meeting, I realised that the magic, there was no secret pill. There's no secret answer to it. It's just output. So that to me set me on a really good path, I think, where I'm like, all right, yeah, look, there's a lot of technique about it. There's a lot of, when you talk about claiming doors and the strategy behind a core market and all that, I've only just got there with that type of stuff. But for me, it was big. It was output. It was just, all right, I'm going to set a target, break down that target of, how do I get there? And then following that path. And I've done that really well. And that was probably the biggest thing for me is just output.
What disciplines did you bring over from sport that you're now realising you need to bring into being a first grade player in real estate?
Probably resilience is one. Being able to, get knocked back, keep going, get knocked back, keep going. Like that to me is a big one. You deal with injuries, you deal with not making the team, you deal with a lot of those things in rugby league. But just discipline and commitment. Like I started my first NRL preseason out of school when I was 17, and I didn't debut till I was 22. So I did 5 years of bloody getting flogged more than anyone else in the whole squad before I was able to actually run on the paddock and call myself an NRL player. So I think the commitment and the discipline and the sacrifice that I made in that regard certainly helped me coming across, because I find the correlation, and there's so many, great sports people that transition into business and have success. And I think that the core principles behind it are all the same. It's just bringing it over into a different industry and being able to set yourself a goal and being able to break that down and then hold yourself accountable and do it.
Yeah, it's so true. And for me, looking at this story and seeing your growth come out through the team, it feels like you've got that expected behaviour correct. Whereas a lot of people expect it to just happen and the company will do it for me. Whereas in my entire world, nothing happens unless I make it happen. I'm not waiting for anybody to come and save me here. If it's to be, it's up to me, is one of those sayings that I love. But your expected behaviour is good. Okay, it is hardcore. I've got to pick up that phone. I've got to pick my targets, stick to the plans. You've got some very good people around you. Like the work going on ahead of you at the moment is just world class. But you also realise you've got a chance at the title here.
Yeah, I know, mate. And honestly, like it's funny because, like I said, I've never done anything for accolades in that space. Even money, I'm probably one of the one of the few agents that's never been driven by a financial thing. That's why it's hard for me to sort of look at it and go, oh, how much money did I make, or how much money do I want to make? And I've been asked that question, like, how much money do you want to make? What's enough for you? And like, it's a hard one for me to answer, because for me, it's about going, all right, well, I'm very goal driven. Like if I set myself a target, I set my team a target, I'm very much driven around just being able to achieve that. And so that's, I think, what sort of has gotten us to where we are. It's that mentality of going, all right, what do you want to get? How do we get there? And here's how we do it. And now that I've got that team behind me of again, very similar growth-minded people that are driven like that, both of them have got football backgrounds, and they're very similar in that way. We're very driven to achieve something special. And it's cool to be even, I guess, where we are now within the business, and the numbers that we're doing are great. And I feel like it's gone pretty quickly, because I remember, mate, like I said, output was a big thing for me, but along the way, I've had some great people. I had Joel, I had Adam, Justin Nickerson's been a massive help for me. He's always been there for me and helped me. And mate, yourself did the complete salesperson course with you. So from a technique, and I knew nothing about real estate, nothing. I knew no real estate agents. Like, people would always, especially when I started, oh, you know this guy? I'm like, no idea. I don't know any agents. So I started completely fresh, and that was, 2019. So for me, it's been 6 years, and now we've got a really cool business on the peninsula that's exciting.
Yeah, great observation of you speaking there. And from my perspective of interviewing people, be it from sporting or top business people in this country, there seems to be a transition that when you're in sport, it's a goal. We want to win the grand final. And then when it comes across to business, it sort of transitions from a goal to a business objective. And a business objective, having a series of business objectives that you're reviewing, feels different to how much money do I want to earn, to if I achieved that amount of sales, we could pay out, we could buy, we could set up, we could do, becomes the true outcome of a new grand final of, wow, I'm capable of doing it. So applying to yourself and the team, and let's discuss that. There you were, solo agent, that was scary enough. Now you decide to put two around you and become an effective business unit. How was that transition?
Mate, it was awesome. To be honest, it was probably I got to the point where I was doing around that 7 to 800 mark, and I felt like, I definitely, in order to take the next step, and become that sort of successful agent that I wanted to be, I knew that I needed something, and I knew that I needed someone. And it was, I read the book Who Not How and realized, well, I'm very much a visionary, and I think I needed an integrator to come into my business, and that's what I found. And I went and found Sheldon, who joined me. And mate, he's very structured, he's very processed, he's very driven, he's got one of the best mindsets I've ever seen. And the reason I hired him actually was because 75 hard. I don't know if you've heard of that challenge. It's you got to go 75 days without drinking, without eating, like a cheat meal, and you got to train twice a day. Like, there's so many things. I've tried it so many times. I've never been able to do it, because I love a feed. I love a beer. Love to enjoy myself. And mate, I've just never been able to do it. Whereas he, amidst a bunch of footballers and everything, we were going out. He wasn't drinking. On the way home, blokes were getting Maccas. He got mints. He'd have mints ready to heat up when he got home. Like, the discipline side of it, I'm like, he was working at the council, and had no real estate background at all. And I just said, like, for me, it was, I didn't need to find someone that was in real estate. I needed to find someone that had the same work ethic, same growth mindset, and same discipline, and all the traits that I felt not only was important in real estate, but important for my business. And bringing him over was huge. And I think it set a bit of a blueprint for us of going, when we do expand, and we've done it a few times now, like, we want high performers. I don't want to bring someone into the business that doesn't have the ambition to be the best version of themselves, whatever that is. We've been very wary of that, and I think it's worked well, mate. Like, he's been awesome since bringing him in, and so is Harrison. got Harrison over from Kindred, and he's the exact same, mate. Like very, very driven, very motivated. And when you have a little unit of people like that, it makes going into the office great. And we've got a very, very high level of accountability. Like they chip me all the time, I chip them all the time, but it's all love, which is important because we get on really well.
And what's a good month of numbers now? Like, what's your expected behaviour for listings, appraisals, and sales?
Yeah, well, mate, we sort of set ourselves a goal. Myself and Sheldon, our numbers were 8 listings, 8 sales, and $120,000 worth of income. Because I set myself a goal of 1.2 as a commission. But very quickly, when we implemented some of the things into the business that I wanted to implement, and we brought on Harrison, and we were tracking the way we track, and we reset our goals to hit 160 a month and try and go for 1.6. And mate, we're on track to do that at this point. And that looks like probably 10 listings, 10 sales, 160 a month. I don't count Jan and Feb. I'm not sure who taught me that, but someone taught me that, and I've just run with it ever since. Don't count Jan and Feb, need 160 a month for the other months. And yeah, we're on track, mate, which is good. And again, when I break it down, and that drives me monthly, is I do not want to hit those. I do not want to miss those targets. So whenever we've reset them, and we've had to reset them along the way and revise our goals, so that we're challenging ourselves, we really haven't missed. We went a 7-month period without missing a single target, and I think we missed by about $5,000 once on the income. But other than that, like we hold ourselves very accountable within our business, which I think's been a massive game changer for us.
Fantastic. And when we look at 3 people in harmony like that, and 160-10 is 1.6, very simple. You've got clarity numbers, which I absolutely love. Final questions for you, and a fantastic interview for anyone listening to this. What are you passionate about for the future in the way of progression? What do you feel you need to work on next as a team that's going to even further give you that gap difference in the marketplace, that there's a gap between you and them, which protects your future? But what are you passionate about improving upon in 2025?
Certainly one thing that we spoke about is expanding. We want to continue to provide a really high quality service to anyone that we come across, and bring in the right person in. Again, like I said, high performance is a big keyword for me and for our business, and we want to continue to improve. And that's, I think I've, since 2019, it's been six years or 5 years that I've been out full time on my own. And each year for me to improve and get better in terms of the numbers we're writing has been such a big goal for me. So that's important. I never want to go backwards. And again, like that's going to evolve over time. What drives me, I want to get into the sort of, not the coaching space, but like as in probably more of a principal at some point. Like that's probably my long-term goal. Is I love this stuff, like everything that I've learned, and along the way, I think I've just proved that someone that can come into the industry with absolutely no knowledge at all, no background at all, but if you follow the right principles, which are very simple, as you mentioned, that you can achieve something that's good. So I love that. I love passing that information on. Like, I said, Sheldon came from the council, Harrison came over from another business. I get a lot of fulfillment out of helping those boys progress in their own career. And so that's something that I'm probably pretty passionate about, is finding another team member for our group, and helping them be the best version of themselves, putting things in place so that they can achieve their own goals within my business. So, and mate, ultimately what I've found is all of those things, it results in business for us, because people, when you're sitting at a listing presentation or when you're out in the community, people can see that we are trying to be the best version of ourselves, and that we do care about that type of thing. And yeah, it's all very positive. That's probably the plans for us in 2025, mate. Improve, get better.
Cameron, a fantastic interview, not one edit, just straight from the heart. Thank you for joining us on the program We Are Selling.
Thanks, Lee, mate. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And it's good to chat.
Today's episode of We Are Selling was brought to you by Nexar. Nexar is the platform that is now partnering and delivering best-in-class real estate growth solutions that continue to perform over time. The Nexar platform has now partnered with some of our leading principals in teams in Australia. They are assisting with the lead generation engine of the company, agent loyalty, and the growth of the rent roll through connective communication. Nexar is doing the heavy lifting on nurturing your database to generate a pipeline for your agents and BDMs to convert to listings, sales, and new managements. Check the show notes and the link to episode 116, where there was a feature interview with Mr. Mark Kentwell. Thank you for listening. I look forward to speaking to you next week. My name's Lee Woodward. Goodbye.